Baseball has never seen a force quite like Barry Bonds. A man who turned every at-bat into theater, every swing into a statement. Pitchers intentionally walked him with the bases loaded. Fans traveled thousands of miles just to witness his power. He didn't just hit home runs, he redefined them. 73 in a single season, 762 in a career. More MVPs than anyone, more fear, more awe, more questions. Because behind every towering shot into the San Francisco night, there was a whisper, a shadow, a suspicion he could never outrun. He never failed a drug test. He never admitted guilt, but he never escaped the storm. Barry Bonds didn't just rewrite the record books. He made the world question whether greatness, true greatness, could ever be trusted again. If Barry Bonds had never been linked to doping, would he be the greatest player of all time? And if the answer is yes, then why did he choose a path that made the whole world doubt him? Barry Lamar Bonds was born on July 24, 1964 in Riverside, California, but his roots in baseball ran deeper than geography. He was born into legacy. His father, Bobby Bonds, was a three-time All-Star and one of the most electrifying players of his era. His godfather? None other than Willie Mays, the say-hey kid himself. For most kids, baseball was a dream. For Barry, it was family. He grew up in San Carlos and later moved to San Mateo in the shadow of Candlestick Park. He didn't just watch the game, he lived it. Afternoons weren't spent chasing cartoons. They were spent chasing fly balls. He learned to swing a bat before he could spell his name. People said he was a natural, but the truth is more complicated. Barry trained relentlessly, even as a boy, driven by something more than ambition, expectation. At Sarah High School, the same school where Tom Brady would later make headlines, Barry was already on another level. His swing was smooth, compact, devastating. Coaches noticed. Scouts took notes. But with the name Bonds on his back, Barry never got the luxury of being just another kid. Every hit, every strikeout, every attitude was compared to his father's legacy. And soon enough, people began to wonder, could the son ever escape the shadow of the father? The moment Barry Bonds stepped onto the field at Arizona State University, everything changed. It wasn't just that he was good, he was electric. His freshman year, he batted .347. By the time he left ASU, he had set records for runs, home runs, and RBIs. But it wasn't only the numbers. It was the swagger, the unshakable belief that he belonged, not just in the game, but at the top of it. Scouts were watching. The Pittsburgh Pirates took him 6th overall in the 1985 MLB draft. And when he arrived in the majors just 1 year later, it was clear Barry wasn't there to follow in anyone's footsteps. He was there to carve his own path. In those early years with Pittsburgh, Barry Bonds was the definition of a five-tool player. He could hit for power, average, run like lightning, field with grace, and throw with accuracy. In 1990, he won his first MVP award. 2 years later, he won another. The Pirates made the playoffs 3 years in a row, and Bonds was their centerpiece. But there was always something simmering beneath the surface, an intensity, a distance. Teammates called him moody, reporters called him arrogant, and Barry didn't care. He wasn't playing to be liked, he was playing to dominate. Then came the winter of 1992. The Pirates let him walk. San Francisco called, a 6-year, $43 million deal. At the time, it was the richest contract in baseball. But for Barry, it wasn't just about money. It was about coming home. Back to the Bay Area. Back to where his father and godfather had made their names. It felt like fate. What no one realized was that this wasn't just a homecoming. It was the beginning of a transformation. One that would change baseball forever. From the moment Barry Bonds donned the Giants' uniform, he became something else, something bigger. He wasn't just great, he was overwhelming. The ball came off his bat with a different sound. Outfielders stopped bothering to chase. Pitchers started flinching the moment he stepped into the box. And fans? They came early just to watch him take batting practice. In 2001, at the age of 36, Bonds did the unthinkable. He shattered Mark McGwire's single-season home run record with 73 home runs, a number that felt absurd even as it happened. He didn't just hit home runs, he launched them into the bay, over scoreboards, into history. Some nights it seemed like he was playing a different sport altogether. He was walked 177 times that season, 120 of them intentional. Teams would rather give him first base than give him a pitch to hit. He still hit .328, still drove in 137 runs, still posted a slugging percentage no one had seen before or since. Barry Bonds wasn't playing the game. He was bending it to his will. From 2001 to 2004, he won 4 consecutive MVP awards. He became the all-time leader in on-base percentage. He redefined what power meant. And through it all, he never flinched, never smiled for the cameras, never asked for love. He played like a man possessed, unapologetic, untouchable, unrelenting. By 2007, at 43 years old, he broke the most hallowed record in the sport, Hank Aaron's 755 career home runs. The number 756 soared into the San Francisco night, and with it, Barry Bonds became the all-time home run king. But the cheers were complicated. Some fans wept, some turned away, some held signs with asterisks. Even in triumph, there was tension. Because as Bonds climbed higher, so did the whispers. His body had changed. His numbers had exploded, too much, some said. And while he never failed a test, the rumors were everywhere. Steroids, human growth hormone, BALCO. Still, Bonds stood tall, silent, daring the world to look him in the eye and say it out loud. He had reached the top, but the air up there was thin and heavy. For years, the questions chased Barry Bonds like shadows on a diamond. He never tested positive, but he didn't have to. In 2003, the BALCO scandal exploded. Bonds' name was suddenly everywhere. Court documents, leaked testimonies, investigative reports. His former trainer, Greg Anderson, refused to testify. Bonds himself was indicted in 2007 for perjury and obstruction of justice. The case dragged on for years, and although the conviction was eventually overturned, the damage was done. The accusations weren't just about substances, they were about trust, about legacy. Fans who once stood in awe now stood in judgment. Baseball writers whispered the word asterisk. Commentators dissected his swing, his size, his silence. And Barry? He stayed quiet. Rare interviews, no apologies, just that cold, unblinking stare. He had become the face of an era no one wanted to celebrate, the so-called steroid era, where records fell and suspicions rose. And while others were caught, confessed, or cried on television, Bonds remained unreachable. His greatness was undeniable, his guilt perpetually unproven. But in the court of public opinion, the verdict was clear. Hall of Fame ballots came and went. His name was there, but the votes never followed. Even as his numbers towered over history, the door stayed shut. Behind the stoicism, there was something else, a man who had given everything to the game and now stood alone, not broken, not bitter, just alone. Barry Bonds walked away from baseball in 2007, the all-time home run king, a 7-time MVP, a living monument to both brilliance and controversy. But retirement did not bring closure. If anything, time only deepened the divide. To some, Bonds is a cautionary tale, a gifted athlete whose legacy was tainted by ego and enhancement. To others, he is the greatest to ever swing a bat, punished not for cheating, but for refusing to play the game off the field, refusing to charm the press, to confess, to kneel before public forgiveness. The numbers still stand. No one has touched his records. No one likely will. Every stat, every highlight reel, every towering home run into McCovey Cove reminds us that Bonds didn't just play baseball. He altered its gravity. He forced the sport to confront its own hypocrisies, its dependence on heroes, its aversion to complexity. The Hall of Fame never called. 10 years on the ballot, and still no plaque in Cooperstown. But maybe that's fitting. Barry Bonds was never meant to be placed neatly on a pedestal. He was meant to be argued about, wrestled with, remembered in full, flaws and all. As time softens the noise, a new question rises. Can we separate what he did from how he did it? And if we can't, does that make the story more tragic or more human? Maybe in the end, Barry Bonds' legacy isn't just about home runs or scandals. Maybe it's about forcing us to ask uncomfortable questions, about greatness, about forgiveness, about how we choose our heroes. And maybe that too is a kind of immortality.